you come to a place like this, it's very hard to visualize what was actually here. But if you can do that, it really begins to open up everything for you. This is a graveyard, obviously, because there are grave stones and tombs littered about the place. But it's only part of a wider complex. And that complex is a monastic settlement, a church, and a village. And when you look round you, you can see the lake, but the lake was lower, or it is lower now than it was then. So the lake would have been 12 feet higher. The water would have come in and lapped around it. There would have been a harbour there. You would have had people coming and going. You also had pilgrims, because this was a pilgrimage site on the way to Loch Derg. So you would have had a hostel here, and people would have come, prayed, stayed, slept, and moved on. But there were other things happening as well in the landscape. And up behind us here, we have two raths. And that's a very rare thing to have, where you have two of them connected to each other. And they would be between the 5th and 10th century AD, roughly contemporaneous with what we have here in Cleenish monastic site. But this isn't just the end of it, there's even more than that. This would have been here because there was previous occupation on Cleenish Island. And we think we're now beginning to uncover Bronze Age activity here as well. So there's nothing new in the layering. Everywhere you go, you come across this building upon what was there before. There was an archaeological dig here by NUI Galway in 2014, and they found some fantastic things here. I believe it was the first archaeological dig on this particular place. Just to the north of us here, between here and the loch, they did a dig and they uncovered a disarticulated skeleton. And that means that the head wasn't on it. So someone who was buried without their head meant that this person wasn't buried within the graveyard, was buried without. So who was this person? Why did he lose his head? And why was he buried out there? We may never know the answers to that, but it adds to the mystery of the place, and it adds to the speculation that you can bring about it. As part of the archaeological dig, they also did a geophys survey of the wider area, and it revealed a huge, extensive piece of development in the area. There were field boundaries, there were foundations of buildings, and there was a D-shaped enclosure. So you're looking at something now that doesn't look like any of that, but if you can use your imagination to begin to visualize a church, a graveyard, a village, a harbour, raths, all of these things come together, and most importantly, the people who would have been active here. The monks praying, the people working in the fields, people at industry, and pilgrims coming up and down the loch on their way to and from Loch Derg, and of course all of the other pilgrimage churches and sites that we have littered up and down Loch Erne. The history of this place means nothing without people. We have talked about this place and what it might have looked like, and the interaction between it, landscape, church, society, all of those things were happening here. But the people today, they are the people who interpret it, who come and visit it and want to make something of it so that they can see what this place would have been and what it means to them now. And the communities within which places like this reside are critically important to the maintenance, the interest, and the success of them. And Cleenish is one of those places that attracts people to it, maybe because of landscape and the beauty and where it is, the rolling hills and the loch, the view of Colca, all of these things add to it. But also local people, particularly the Ballinalec Local History Group, the local churches, farmers, people who maintain the land, who look after it, regard this as a special place. And it's special because of all the things we mentioned, but it's also because they can see themselves in it, I think, and they can see the importance of passing the heritage on to younger people. And Cleenish, of course, has had that layering of history, not least of which has been after the First World War, veterans returned here, traumatized by the war. They were given 11 houses on the island, but because of the isolation, because there wasn't any bridges on and off the island then, they found it very, very hard. And some of them would have had PTSD, some of them had never farmed before, and some of them found it very, very hard to live here. And that's interesting because even though we're close to the mainland on either side of us here, it's still a very isolated place. And that more recent history reflects that back on us as well. And the local history group that made the film and wrote the book and attracted people to come here because of that are also attracting people here because of this. So it adds to the layering, it adds to the stories of people and place. It gives a real sense of pathos and a real sense of the importance of this and why it means something to people's lives, and therefore how we can continue this by bringing more people to see it, by bringing our young people over to visit it and to interpret it for our own needs in the 21st century.